Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Today we are going over a very specific group that formulated almost every dancer's mind if you were born old enough to watch things in the 2000s. Maybe it's later than that. Maybe it's not that late. Anyways, if you know the name of the Jabbawockeez, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The Jabbawockeez are crazy, massively talented people. The type of people that are really good at what they do, but also don't necessarily call attention to themselves in a drama sense. As far as I know, no one's ever been like, we're gonna start, drama or beef or an argument or a fight between the Jabbawockeez and someone else, because I've never heard of that. Not that you hear about that too often, which is good. The dance world is too busy at rehearsal to get into fights. Anyways, Jabbawockeez. So, my name is Joel Casanova, and I'm the creator and founder of Beat Hunter Dance. And this talk show exists to help your dance journey be healthy, productive, and 100% yours. So today we're going to do a reaction video to, I'm going to show you a reaction video to a Jabbawockeez performance at Red Bull 1. Red Bull 1 is kind of like Red Bull Dance Your Style, but instead of you're dancing your style, you're specifically doing breakdancing. So Red Bull 1 is like the breakdancing competition side. They always have shows usually there because dancers are just there and they have to the judges have to deliberate and stuff like that, or you're just doing an opening ceremony, kind of like the Olympics except for dancers and specifically for breakdancing. So they did a performance which is insane, and I'm breaking down why we like what it is that the Jabbawockeez do. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so what I don't think you understand is how excited I am to do a breakdown or a video reaction to the Jabbawockeez. I have watched this video 6,000 times and it doesn't get old. It really doesn't. Because it's the Jabbawockeez. The Jabbawockeez are famous for having the white masks and the white gloves. So they kind of feel unreal. And so because they're kind of unhuman in that way, they take on the music's personality and texture. This is a huge masterclass in not only the skills it takes to dance, but also what it looks like to make the music personified, right? Musicality, the subtitle for it is music personified. The Jabbawockeez exemplify this to the T. Also a really cool thing to notice while they're doing their piece and I'm reacting to it is the fact that all of them are kind of masked. They're all personless, I guess you could say. So you never really know who's doing what. And they use that as a tool to show you what you need to be looking at. Right? So one person will be highlighted or multiple people will be highlighted. Everyone will freeze. And then one person does one specific thing. So that one small movement looks huge because they're showing you this is what you need to be looking at. This is what's highlighted. This is where everyone's moving. And even small movements that aren't really necessarily hard to do are using it to show what's happening in the music. So cool. So cool. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is very classic Jabbawockeez. They're all in a 5 to 6 to 4 position, and usually 5. And there's one solo person. They'll switch out who's doing the solo, and the other people are reacting and highlighting specific pieces while he's doing the full piece. Or she. I'm pretty sure they're all he's. Come back and sync again. Okay, listen. Watch the center guy first, okay? He's doing the whole choreography. And they transition, okay? But watch the guys behind him accent specific pieces with the noises in the background. Hey. And they come in left side, stage left, stage right, come back, and they'll stand up again. So what they did was bum, bum, hey, ha, and come back in. Like, it's so little. It's so little of what they actually did. It's insane. But you're not really paying attention to that because you're watching the center guy, and those specific things get highlighted. So it shows this is what's highlighted. On top of the fact that they're hitting such detailed pieces in the music. Okay, once again. Hey. Okay, another super classic Jabbawockeez thing. He does the thing with the hand, and everyone follows with the head. And then solo. Okay, listen. Right? He goes out to the side. Watch what he throws. He throws it low. First of all, it goes from low to high. And if you notice, he's throwing it and watching it as it goes, and each Jabbawockeez is hitting it like an and beat right after. It echoes through them. Ready? Solo. Boom. Sick. Okay, listen. He's about to throw it, and it's about to go center guy, a stage right guy, backstage right guy, stage left guy. Okay? It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch when he throws it. Crazy. So the specificity comes in, okay, I hear it goes, brah. Okay, so instead of just everyone hitting at the same time, they're like, okay, we are all one piece, right? We are all one crew. Like, this is a perfect masterclass in, like, how am I giving my all and doing my best to have musicality in relation to the fact that I'm part of a group. This is not a solo. This is not even a trio. This is like 5 dudes. So I guess that would be classified as a small group. But like, I'm part of a bigger group of people, and I'm one small piece that's like adding on to it. It's like if he just did everyone together, everyone's like, okay, all of them clearly have musicality. It's crazy. But instead, they're like, I'm gonna throw it, and it's gonna go shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like we're all reacting to the fact that it's whatever he threw, quote unquote, the concept that he's throwing is passing through us. Okay. Here's another thing separating timing from musicality. Okay, so he throws it. Brah. I'm gonna stop freaking out about that because that's so crazy, right? Brah. It goes all through all 4. They all hit the boom, right? And then it goes. So instead of going making it big, they go lift. They just lift. They're not putting any effort into it. It's not always being contracted. It's not always having a tight movement. It's just lifting in the timing of the music, right? So right before it, boom, they're making it like a shock wave, right? Well, first they had the ripple effect, which I'm going back to again, right? The ripple effect, crazy, right? And then they hit boom, and then they lift on time, and then it goes dun 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 dun, and so they bounce while hitting the certain movements. So it's about choice. It's about intentionality. They're choosing it very specifically. I don't know if all of them choreograph it, or they have certain people who choreograph specific chunks. That's what I normally see when it comes to group pieces, that it's like, okay, well, this person's choreographed this piece and this person's choreographed this piece. This is their solo piece where they're kind of highlighted, so we'll let them choreograph that piece, because then everyone's focused on them and they're doing it the best because they created it, right? Regardless, watch the ripple effect. We're all part of one group. All of us are having the same time, boom, to the beat. They lift without any tension. It's just on the timing to the music, and then they go shoom, doom, 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 doom. Okay, watch. Sick. Boom. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Sick. Okay, listen. First of all, that slide is crazy. Right? So they stop. There's a small slide because they're not trying to slide away as a transition. They're just, everyone's moving to the side. But there's a really important note to take in consideration when it comes to a group piece. Watch at the very end. Okay, first of all, to do b-boy moves is hard. B-boying is hard. Breakdancing is a difficult style, period. It's like, I would argue, one of the most athletic dance styles, period. Right? It's basically like on the border of gymnastics. However, to do it to music with musicality is key. Okay? Because you can just do moves. At that point, you're not dancing because you're not going to the music. But if you can hit the music, there's this click, click. So they lift, click. They put their legs together, click. Watch the guys in the back. They're really not doing much. But they're using it as like a backdrop to what they're doing in front. Click, click. Right? Watch the guys in the back. And down. They go roll or wave down because they're not the highlight. They're watching the other guys. So they're telling you, don't look at me, look at them. And I don't need to like get out of the way. I don't need to run off stage or do that crazy ninja run. Like, that's so overdone, right? They just went wave down to the knee. That's it. And it tells you this is what you're supposed to be looking at. I'm not a highlight, right? This is a crazy, I'm not sure if, I know one of the guys in the Jabbawockeez, I'm not sure if he's still part of it, but he became a Christian. He's like a super strong Christian, which is awesome. Maybe 2 of them. Maybe there's other people of faith in there. But regardless, this is a crazy cool masterclass in musicality, but also humility, right? No one knows who you are. You have a mask on. So everything you're doing on stage is serving the piece. You're being one small piece or one small part, one small solo. Like everyone's like, wow, whoever that was crazy. This is like one of the coolest ways to have like a preservation of purely the observation of art. It's like, I need you to see something cool and create a piece because this is about the piece that we're doing. Everyone knows the Jabbawockeez at the Red Bull 1 performance. Like everyone's like, these guys are crazy. I don't care who you are, right? But like no one knows specifically who that person is, right? And then they transition so much. It's like, okay, I thought it was this guy, but now he looks a little taller, or maybe he looks a little shorter. Like, is that a different guy? I don't know. They're all wearing masks. That's the whole point. Like the humility that you can learn from this type of performance is amazing, right? You are doing something as a service to lower yourself to highlight someone else because that's what needs to be seen for the audience to be like, this is a crazy good performance. Okay? One small. Dancing, he's the highlight, right? He's the highlight, and then he's gonna have a transition moment at the very end. But look at the guys in the back; they're still hitting hyping the crowd, and then they go boom, and then before he does the transition piece, they hit this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before they go into a crossed arm. Okay, they're not doing much. It's actually really easy what they're doing, but it matches the music and it keeps the center guy the highlight because it's not about their part right. It's not their part right yet. Right? Lands on his back. He's dead. Right? Everyone was like, wow, that's crazy because he landed on the thing, and everyone goes, boom, cross arm. Watch what the guys on the sideline are doing when the build comes. Cross and look in arms. It's not hard. They've been doing like things that are twice as hard as what they just did just then, but they're doing it to match the music and highlight someone specifically. Right? Bum 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 bum, the head and arms. Right? So when you see it as a full picture, you're like, this is just the music. This is what the music looks like if it was in a person's body.
As our journey into sound.
Crazy. And this piece is like this whole video is like 7 minutes and 30 seconds long. Okay. I'm going to put it's in the show notes right now. It's in the description. Watch the full piece, right? So the very beginning is boring. It's just them cheering and them in the background. They get on stage. Once they get on stage, there is no boring. There is never a boring on stage, right? They go through basically like 4 or 5 different pieces. It's not even like, oh, we did one piece to perform and we're leaving. It's like we strung together multiple pieces as the Jabbawockeez. Insane. And then certain people go off stage. Like, it's just even more subservient to the piece as a whole. It's like, I don't know this piece. I'm not in this piece. I need to rest. They need to perform, and then we're switching. I'm not even on stage. But people still don't know who you are. Who went off stage? We don't know. 3 of the Jabbawockeez. And it creates this like ambiance, which is another thing because of the musicality proficiency, which is off the charts. They not only match the music, but they also match the ambiance of the piece, right? As the piece changes and moves, the whole thing is different because they're kind of capturing the atmosphere, right? So in musicality, in the personal kinetic curriculum, I talk about not just what you're doing, right? You can move all the pieces of your body, but how you're doing it. Is it stiff? Is it soft? Does it continue? Does it stop? How stiff is it? Are you ticking? Are you releasing? Are you melting? What are you doing with your body? What are you doing? And these guys, bro, have mastered that. Because you're like, they didn't just hit the things on time. They hit the things on time and made their bodies look exactly how the sound that they're hitting looks like. Crazy. This is a cool thing to do to practice musicality. Choose a small beat in a song that you know and try to match it with different parts of your body. First be like, okay, if it's like a bass, right? You're like chest, then head, then arms, then legs, then combine 2 things together. Left arm, left leg, right arm, left leg. Just the legs, just the arms and chest, legs and chest, head and chest, right? So you're taking all these different pieces, like you're like, okay, my body can move to all the parts of my body can move to this sound. Now change how it's being interpreted. Right? Bass, right? You could stop, or you could continue, boom, 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 boom. So you're continuing to move with each piece, or you're boom, boom. You like hit every 4, 1, 2, 3, or every 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then break it down into different parts of your body once again. And you're hitting these layers. Those layers are what make musicality such a foundational part of dancing, right? It's not just the technique. You can learn the technique for hip hop specifically, but to get that concept makes you understand how to connect your body to music. So no matter what piece you're going into, no matter what style you're going into, no matter what performance you're going into, you're like, my body is honed, sharpened, trained to look like what you're listening to right now, regardless of the style. Or if it has no style at all, it's just purely your movement and all the things you've learned, or all the uniqueness that you bring to the table. Okay? Small Joel Casanova rant over. Okay? Watch the whole piece. It's crazy good. Okay. Bye. That's not supposed to be on there. So, there is another thing that I realized while watching that again. Something I realized while watching that again was weaknesses that end up being your strength, right? So in a regular piece, imagine if they didn't have the white masks, you could see their faces and they're reacting in a specific way. They have like emotional reactions, as they say, on their face, right? And so they can kind of, like in film, if something happens, sometimes they'll cut away to like an audience member, or like say it's like America's Got Talent, and they'll cut away from the performance to somebody watching the performance, and then they'll cut back. Or they'll see, like if it's a film, like a nonfiction film or a fiction film, like you're seeing like a narrative, then you're cutting away to someone reacting to it, then they cut back. It's called a reaction shot. And what that does, literally in the story, is tells you as the audience how you should be feeling about this. Right? Someone like does something and you cut back and they're like, oh my goodness. Like you're like, right? Because you're the audience, you're like, how should I be feeling about this? You might have a certain feeling and then your feelings change based off of what they show you how to feel, which can be very manipulative. But in the creative sense, right, you're like, oh man, like they're telling you this is a really bad thing. Or this person is really evil because they're smiling while this bad thing is happening. Right? So it's like, that guy's super evil. This is how I should feel. Because then at that point, what they're telling you to feel is like, this person's the bad guy. This person's the antagonist. Like the protagonist, something is happening, or a random extra person, something bad is happening to them, and they're like, that guy's so evil. Right? And you're like, yeah. You don't have that in dance when the Jabbawockeez are dancing. Okay? So the reaction shot in dance is what my face is doing to tell you how you should feel about what I'm doing right now. Right? If I do something super cool and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Right? You're like, whoa, that's crazy. Versus I'm like, yeah, I killed that move. And everyone's like, yeah, you killed that move. Right? I'm telling you how to feel based off of how I'm expressing my dance in the piece. If I were to cover my face like the Jabbawockeez, you don't get that reaction. So I'm purely having to almost like run with ankle weights if I'm on the Jabbawockeez, or let's say I'm not on the Jabbawockeez. So the Jabbawockeez are kind of running with ankle weights because they don't give you how you should feel. You're just basing it off of the actual piece and the movement that they're doing, which is so hard. On top of it, it forces their body language to have to express what they're feeling like 10 times more than they would normally have to. And as dancers, sometimes that's easier because sometimes dancers tend to put all their expression in their body and not in their face, which is a whole different subject. But if you're covering your face, humans are used to looking at someone's face. That's what we're used to. We're born and raised to like match and understand what is going on based off of people's faces. When you cover that face, all of a sudden I have to get all my emotional cues off of your body. And as dancers, that's a lot easier because we're expressing ourselves through movement. And the majority of that, like 95% of that, is through our body. But the Jabbawockeez are now like having to show you what you should be feeling, what you should be looking at based off of just movement. There's no language, there's no facial expressions. They're all inhuman because they put the mask on and they're all the same person at that point. They're all wearing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. They're all like faceless. So anyways, that's something that I realized, like when you have a weakness and you recognize the weakness, feel how you need to feel about it, and then as soon as possible understand how you can shift that into a strength. So for example, I had to be super on time to music when I was growing up dancing because sometimes I didn't have a speaker, but I had a camera and I had headphones. So I'm like, I have to be very on time to music so that when I edit this later, I had to understand what it is that I was hitting based off of the music that I played. Like, okay, I know I played it around this time, or I played it from the very beginning, and I hit this move on this bass noise, so I'm going to use that bass noise as like an anchor beat, and then, okay, everything else is in time. But if I was off time, if I had bad timing or bad musicality based off of the piece that I was doing, editing the music into the video would have been so much harder. So I had to force myself to get better at editing and force myself to be on time because it would be so hard to do it if I was not going to the music. And when I'm editing this later, I'm like, Joel, stay on time to the music. past Joel, like future Joel yelling at past Joel, right? So, what is it that you're deficient in that actually is a strength? I started really late. Okay, that means any movement that comes out of you that you're training in, all of it is you. It's like almost 98% you. The other 2% is like stuff that you've seen, right? Versus someone who's been trained since such a young age to do specific styles so that when they grow up, there's another filter on it. There's a filter of you, and then there's a filter of the genre of dance that you're doing. So it's like, actually, the fact that I started later is actually better for me because I'm more myself when I'm dancing instead of just doing the style that I know I can do. Right? There's a guy, actually, there's a whole group. I'll find them. I'll see if I can find a video of them. That would be a good reaction video. Point is, there's this, I think, European, maybe British, London, maybe. There's this European group where it's called, I'll have to find it later. The point is, all of them have some kind of disability. There's like a guy in a wheelchair. I think there's a guy without a leg. I think there's another guy without an arm, or like with like, I think he has both legs, but one is like a prosthetic. Point is, like, they're dancing and doing all this different stuff regardless of the deficiencies that they have, legitimately, regardless of whether they're born that way or whether they got injured or whether they had some medical thing they had to get like an amputation. The point is, they are creating a piece, and they made their deficiencies their strengths. Because not only are people like, that's incredible, massively inspirational, like, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, their motivation, the motivation energy you get from that, from watching a piece for them, is off the charts. Like, it's really, really inspirational. But they're also incredible dancers, objectively. Like, objectively speaking, they are incredible people and dancers that are doing awesome choreography. So the Jabbawockeez created a weakness for themselves. You can create a weakness for yourself, or if you have a specific weakness, you can make that a strength that you didn't think was a strength, and then that becomes part of your dance journey. It becomes part of your story, and you might not have a leg and start dancing and get really good at dancing, and then all of a sudden someone who watches you is like, that's incredible, and that becomes part of their dance journey. So then they're like, the first guy that really inspired me was this guy who had no leg. He had one leg, and he was a crazy break dancer or hip hop dancer or whatever he does. Doesn't even matter at that point. You're like, you're doing it with one leg, man. Really, really, really cool stuff. And then you start getting that ripple effect that dance naturally has. I watched the Jabbawockeez on America's Best Dance Crew. What was that? Season 2? Season 2? I know I Am Me was on season 1. I want to say the Jabbawockeez were season 2. The point is, this is me at like middle school, high school. And like seeing those guys like shifted me off of YouTube. Like, I was watching YouTube videos originally, and then I shifted into watching specific crews that had specific things. And that really got me the idea of, even if I couldn't do it in my body, I understood mentally what is it I'm trying to like show through my body. So when I got the training, I got the muscle in my very first studio, I already had it mentally. I'm like, I know what I'm trying to do. I know what I'm trying to hit. So when I got it in my body, I was like, oh man, now I have the ability to do this. That's part of my dance journey. These guys are inspirational to me. Not only because they're really, really good at what they do, but also because like this is part of my dance history, if you can see it that way. So just a side note, a mindset that you can kind of capture for yourself to be like, okay, any weaknesses you have can become strengths if you look at it the right way. Okay. So beathunderdance.com, hit me up. At BeatHunterDance on Instagram, Joel M. Casanova on Instagram as well. Just Google BeatHunterDance, you'll find all my stuff. And I'll see you on the flip side. Okay? Do that exercise that I did in the thing. Let me know how you like it. Okay? Here's some of my information. I'll see you next time.